As we go to air tonight, an American evangelist named Benny Hinn will have arrived in Australia to preach to thousands at his crusades. Trouble is, Benny Hinn is a fake, a dangerous fake. What he does is prey on the sick, the desperate and the gullible. The advertisements for his Australian tour say, "Miracle Crusade, come expecting to receive your miracle." Well, that's simply a lie. What we've discovered is that if you go, you'll be touched for donations and be caught in a piece of showbiz trickery. This Palestinian-born preacher man, with a morning show each day on Channel 10 and annual earnings of around $100 million, is just a shameless salesman selling false hope.
To God be the glory. God be the glory.
When Benny Hinn last brought his crusade to Australia in January, over 20,000 people turned out each night to see him perform at Melbourne's Myer Music Bowl. They came to see the so-called Miracle Man, one of the superstars of televangelism.
I would wake up at nights and I would see angels in my room. At first I did not really understand it. It was very, it's even now hard to describe really what they look like.
What did they look like?
They looked like you and me, except you can see through them.
Wings and halos?
No, I did not see any wings. I don't remember any wings. But very light, very lit up, almost like a misty type of a person.
The first guy on the front row there, on the left, next to the empty chair, straight in.
Benny's real guardian angels are his army of TV producers and directors.
Stand by 3. Well, that was only inevitable. Coming to 3.
They choreograph his performances. They milk the emotion, building the excitement towards each night's well-rehearsed finale.
Touch! Pick it up! Touch! 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 Come on! Touch! Touch!
It's all fall down from a dozen different camera angles.
Anybody can do it. It has nothing to do with God. It has to do with suspending critical judgment.
The Reverend Ollie Anthony runs a Christian watchdog group in Dallas. He and his staff have studied the Benny Hinn show for years and say it's just a carefully orchestrated exercise in mass hysteria.
Well, first of all, you're at the first level of hypnosis when you go into the crusade. Well, and you see, you've been programmed by seeing it week after week on television of people falling down when he blows on them. And then you go there expecting that to happen. And then the music, and the repetitive music, and the lighting, and the crowds, and the monosyllabic singing all creates this environment. It's just like a stage hypnotist.
Because he has our gift.
But you and I know, Benny, that they fall over because of the power of suggestion, not the power of the Lord.
Well, that's your opinion. That's absolutely, no.
You've seen the same trick.
No, my friend, listen, let me tell you something. Now, when I lay hands on people, they do fall. Why they fall, I don't know.
But if you laid hands on me here and now with the cameras on,
nothing happens.
You couldn't make me fall down.
No, because there's no anointing right now. You gotta understand something.
No, because there's no way in the world you could make me believe in what you say.
Well, again, Jeff, that is something you feel and believe. Yet thousands of people who attended our meetings. I've been in this thing for 25 years.
A lot of practice. When we joined Benny Hinn on a crusade in Albuquerque, thousands of desperate people turned up to buy what Benny is selling, a commodity called hope.
Televangelism is a $3.5 billion a year industry in America alone. Benny Hinn is now we estimate, I think very conservatively, that he'll take in $75 million this year.
As Benny's World Outreach Centre is registered as a church, all of the money the faithful will stuff into these envelopes is tax-free. And once you're on his mailing list, you're a target for computer-driven mail order soliciting.
We call it a wheel of fortune. It's how they get names and addresses. And their crusades, like Benny does when he comes to Australia, their crusades are just their television set. And so the whole purpose of them is to develop a mailing list. And in that mailing list, when people call in for prayer or write for prayer, then those names are carefully nurtured and a very, very sophisticated system of money raising happens.
The very first woman you brought up on stage in Albuquerque was presented by you as being cured, a miraculous walk. But we saw her walking and chatting with one of your staff before your show even began.
Let me tell you something. That woman was a fake.
So you admit you have fakes?
My friend, we have fakes all the time that come up on the platform and tell me they've been healed.
You turn those.
Wait.
You turn the fakes into part of the show.
No. You cannot. When I tell people, if you believe you've been healed, as you heard me tell, line up on the signs, and they do. And then we have people down below who check them. We cannot be 100% perfect every time.
We have a victims hotline where people call us with their stories. And the stories are endless of people who had loved ones die after they were proclaimed on television that they were healed. Having little children told that they were healed of hearing or eyesight or innumerable. And then in the excitement, yeah, I'm healed, and they leave the crusade and they still can't see, they still can't hear. And they tell them, well, the reason you weren't healed is because there's secret sin in your life, or the reason you weren't healed is you didn't give enough money.
Has anyone really been healed in Benny Hinn's ministry?
In our research, there's not been one person that was healed.
But you're still on television, on your platform, making claims of miracle cures that you offer no proof at that moment.
Yeah,
See, look, if I go on television, I say, look, I've got a magic pill, Benny.
Yeah, but you are.
This is a magic pill that can cure any disease on earth.
But Jeff, I want to please
I'd
correct
break
you.
the law, wouldn't I?
I want to correct you for the last time. I do not say to the individual, you're healed. They're telling me they've been healed.
But
So we're not the ones claiming they've been healed. They're the ones claiming they've been healed.
You have to do it on your own, though.
And that's the danger with Benny Hinn's ministry. When he laid hands on Laura Twilley 2 years ago, she told everyone it was a miracle cure.
I have cancer all over my body, and I haven't been able to walk at all, or pretty much stand, and I'm doing pretty good now.
She even threw away her cancer-fighting drugs. But within 2 months, she was dead.
That was her last option because the doctors were not delivering the type of results that she wanted. And when it came down to the end, she was crushed.
Laura had told her husband, David, and their children she wouldn't need doctors anymore. She was putting her faith in Benny Hinn and his helpers.
They prayed for her and told her tonight was going to be her night to be healed and that she would be cured and she would not need the chemo and the radiation and all of the narcotics that she had been taking for the pain.
According to her husband, she left that auditorium instructed by your staff not to go ahead with her chemotherapy, her radiation, or even her pain relief. Because she'd been healed.
I would like to know who the staff member was who said that to her. I won't allow my staff to say such things. And if my staff said that to that gentleman, I will call this man myself and apologize and fire the staff member who said it. because it's not right to tell people that.
But it's not an isolated case. The woman buried here in Houston, Texas, Joyce Vaughn, was another one of the so-called miracle cures at a Benny Hinn crusade.
Pastor, this lady had lung cancer. She was in this wheelchair. As you were ministering, she felt a heat come on her chest. Now she breathes freely, no pain whatsoever. She's been healed by God's power this morning.
Her daughter Jackie says Joyce too was persuaded to turn her back on her doctors.
One of the staff had told her she did not need her medicine anymore because Benny Hinn said she was healed.
What did her doctor say when she decided then that she was not going to have the chemotherapy?
He was very upset because she needed the chemo. She needed it. And if God was going to heal her, she would be healed either way. And she fought with that. She tried to call them for questions, the staff at Benny Hinn.
You know the case of Joyce Vaughn, the Houston woman?
I'm sorry, no, tell me about her.
Joyce Vaughn did come on your platform and was presented as having a miracle cure of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
She died. Before she died, to the distress of her doctor, she said she'd been instructed by your staff not to go ahead with her chemotherapy.
That is absolutely untrue.
She called to ask them questions because she was so uncertain about everything. No one returned the calls. She never could get a hold of anybody. And so by the time that she decided to go back and take the radiation, it had grown.
Did her doctor believe that if Joyce had gone on with the chemotherapy, the cancer may have been beaten?
Oh yeah, or stayed in remission at least.
Doesn't that worry you that in fact her life may have been shortened having fallen under the spell of this?
It bothers me if a staff of mine told her to quit medication or chemotherapy. I have never said that to anyone.
I can tell you here under the anointing, it'll never come back. You will never, ever, ever. Now don't hug me too.
He's not giving people hope any more than Las Vegas is or the lottery is. He's giving people false hope. And false hope should always be exposed, should always be spoken against.
When Benny Hinn's show moves on, he doesn't get to see the sadness of the families left in his wake. Laura Twilley's daughters write to their mother every week, still trying to understand how she could die after her miracle.
On one side, Laura was telling them that I'm healed. You know, Mommy's better. I'm not going to need the chemo and the radiation. But yet, on the other hand, when she died, that was the hardest thing for me to do, is to walk in that night and tell the girls that their mother was gone. You know what we're going to do? What are we going to...
Send these to Mom.
Wait a minute, not yet. But why are we going to send them up to Mommy?
Because we love her.
Okay, let go, girls. There they go. Let go, Sarah. Let go. Let go. What is the hardest thing, and I don't think he understands this, is when he puts up this hope, this expectation, and yet it doesn't come through. When the cameras are turned off and the lights are out and he's out of the building, you're left there all alone by yourself. And you have to pick up the pieces and move on.
Hinn admits he doesn't have any medical verification of any of the healings, and in fact, some of the supposed healings have turned out to be not real at all.
In Jesus' sweet name.
9-year-old William Vandenkolk claimed his failing eyesight had improved at this Hinn crusade in 2001.
As soon as God healed me, I could see better.
William is now 17 and still legally blind.
I'd say I was caught up in the moment, being as young as I was, thinking I could actually be getting my vision back.
Yep.
His name is William, and he still can't see.
These are things I cannot explain because I am not the healer. I'm human like you. I make mistakes like anybody else.
Hinn says God does the healing, not him, and that he is therefore not responsible for what people claim on stage. But as I continue to press him, his publicist starts to interrupt angrily.
What are some of the other issues besides healing we're discussing?
He just said I can ask him whatever he wants.
No, I'm really fine with that.
In a moment, the conversation gets even more heated.
Ron, I'm really enjoying this, and this is important.
When I ask about the ongoing Senate investigation into Hinn's lavish lifestyle, funded in part by tax-free donations from the faithful.
2 years ago, the U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley launched an investigation into 6 major televangelists, including Benny Hinn. The question, are Hinn and his colleagues using tax-free donations from believers to fund lavish lifestyles? Hinn had never granted an interview on this topic until he sat down with us.
Jesus Christ may have lived in poverty, but Benny Hinn lives large, in part off of tax-free donations his ministry collects from his followers.
The blood of Jesus!
The criticism is that you're leading a lavish lifestyle.
Of course. It's always been that, by the way. That criticism is nothing new.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay, let's.
As a follower of Jesus, you fly in a private plane.
Yes, I do.
You're staying right now in one of the fanciest hotels in New York City.
Yes, I am.
You wear
very
nice clothing. So, do you not have any misgivings about that?
No. Look, you know, there's this idea, supposedly, that we preachers are supposed to walk about with sandals and ride bicycles. That's nonsense.
She came out of it. She's healed by the power of God.
Do you never have moments where people are writing out checks to you or filling out cards with their credit card information, and you're thinking, you know what, these people just can't afford it. They're doing this because they're desperate, and I shouldn't take this money.
Well, what you're saying to me is I should reject their money because I'm fake?
I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm asking you.
If I was fake, I would absolutely give them back their money. But I believe that God called me to preach the gospel, which is very important.
Senator Chuck Grassley's office tells us that Hinn has cooperated fully with his investigation into whether Hinn and other televangelists are using the tax-free donations they collect appropriately, although the senator has not yet released the results of his investigation.
The senator himself stated that we gave them more information even than they thought we would.
He did, you're right. But let me ask you, if you're so confident that this information proves that you're behaving appropriately, why don't you release it to me or the public?
Well, I'll say that we have an agreement with the senator to keep things confidential. I have nothing to hide, by the way.
You have nothing to hide?
No, of course not.
He promises to give us any information not bound by the confidentiality agreement.
So then I should be able to get whatever information I'm looking for.
I hope you do.
But after the interview, the senator's office told us there is no confidentiality agreement.
You will bring the life of heaven with you.
Even so, Hinn's ministry said it didn't have time to edit out personal information from its donors in time for our broadcast and therefore gave us nothing.